That's right. Time to get into the world of technology. I'm sure you have questions. You want to understand better various things going on. You know, cell phones have been a godsend. They have been much help, but they are also being said to increase the risk of things like cancer. We have Gabriel Abed this morning. He's going to tell us. He has all the information you need on technology. So good morning. Welcome, Mr. Abed. How are you?
I'm fine. Morning.
Good morning, Gabriel.
Well, to get into it, the World Health Organization on May 31st released a publication stating that cell phones can possibly cause carcinogenic cancer. It's a category 2B, so it's classified with pickled vegetables and gasoline. So it's not really that much of a huge risk, but still one that should be noted.
Yeah.
So using a Bluetooth headset or speakers attached to a cell phone to communicate via cell phone is the safest route you can go.
Instead of having the phone against your head.
Correct. That increases the probability of getting cancer. Just note that they said this is a possibility. There was, I believe, 35 studies done throughout 14 countries, and this was stated to be a possible scenario that can occur. Maybe it's, some critics have called it the 21st century of the smoking issue. Remember when smoking was never really a huge risk until they started doing further studies, and now we know smoking is very bad for you. So this can very well be the next breaking thing where cell phones are now outlawed.
Honestly though, Gabriel, isn't it time for us to consider the effects of things like repetitive strain injury on the constant texting and the people who don't sit properly at their computers? Isn't that more important right now than the pickle factor?
Well, the ergonomics of using a PC or any device, you know, it comes with its downfalls, you know, carpal tunnel syndrome. There's a bunch of things you can get. Well, for one, bad backs. You know, we're all leaned over, crouched over on our PCs. But there's ways around that. There's chairs that are built for ergonomic reasons. There's keyboards and mice that actually have really nice, cool, sleek looks to it that help with avoiding those kind of scenarios.
Okay. So that's one thing to watch out for. That's just another heads up for you. Remember, as you use your cell phones, and you know, we're being encouraged constantly not to use them while driving, so this should make your life a little bit easier. It's better to try and follow these suggestions or recommendations by an organization like the WHO than to find out something else later. One of the other things, social network, if we start talking about that, Twitter, Facebook.
Yes.
What do we need to be aware of with this SSL connection?
Okay, well, a lot of users don't realize that Facebook has just released their SSL connections, secured socket layers. So when you're browsing, you're actually in HTTPS mode instead of just HTTP. What this means is that you're through an encrypted channel. In other words, data sent from your device to Facebook is encrypted. So third parties eavesdropping can't really see the data. Now, there's a new app for Android, on rooted Androids, called FaceSniff. Yes.
I like the name.
It's very witty. What it does is, I basically activate it. I connect to a connection, whether it's WPA2 or WPA, and instantly I can start seeing sessions and cookies for users connected to Facebook. Before you know it, I'm on your Facebook account. You know, I found out about this because I was on in the office at work, and one of my staff members comes in and he's showing me this Facebook page, and I'm like, okay, you know, what's the deal? Then I look closer and I realize it's my
yours.
Facebook account.
Wow.
So he starts to smile at me, and I'm like, guy, come on, you know, how did you do this? And he showed me the full steps to it, and I couldn't believe how easy it was. So I instantly went into my account settings on Facebook and activated HTTPS, which will avoid the scenario from reoccurring.
So you need to have the HTTPS
Correct.
in your browser and not just the P.
Correct. You need
security.
You need the SSL cert activated. It's once again going to your account, top right corner, account settings, and I believe it's the 5th thing down. You just click on it, press save, and that's it. It's activated, and you should be good to go.
That's a serious thing, Katrina.
Well, especially when you consider that so many of us use Facebook almost as a scrolling marquee, a ticker take of what we're doing with our lives.
Imagine someone walking into a cafe and just, you know, eavesdropping.
We're going to talk about the implications of that in a little bit more. I also want to find out what's happening with Sony. They got hacked again, didn't they? We have traffic on hold. It's time for our first traffic report of the morning. Before we say good morning to Sergeant Seabird Johnson, I'd like to say a warm welcome and a thank you to our new sponsor, Sony Services. They are on board and a part of our team here on Morning Barbados, so thank you. Now, time for me to say good morning to the Sarge. Morning, Sergeant Johnson.
Good morning. Good morning.
Sergeant Johnson?
Good morning.
Not sure if he's...
Good morning.
Morning, Sarge.
Are you hearing me?
Yes, we are.
Wow. Okay, good morning to you. How are you doing?
We're good.
We're great, thank you.
Good morning to you. Good morning to all of our viewers and our listeners. We have some reports this morning of some horses on the loose in the Belt area and in Watford Bottom. So therefore, persons heading towards that area now, we're asking, if you're heading towards that area, leaving home, going there, you're asked to be on the lookout. However, my appeal to the owner of those horses to have them tied as soon as possible. We are well aware of the damage that can be done as a result of being colliding with any of those animals. In the meantime, roads this morning are said to be steady already in Watford Bottom as a result of those horses just running around the area. There's a build-up in traffic. So therefore, persons, again, we are asking you to be careful, be on the alert. Conditions on all of our roads are said to be moderate and flowing along Highway 7, Maxwell, Top Rock. And in the Wildy area, conditions were steady. Along Clapham Stretch, Upper Calmrock, Bishop's Court Hill also steady. And on the Macpill end, conditions were steady and flowing going towards JTC Ramsey roundabout. All other areas, conditions are light. I have a few pointers in my next update. Until then, it's all.
Thank you so much, Sergeant Johnson. I'll check in with you later on about the thrills and spills of the rally over the weekend. However, we'd like to say thank you now to our new sponsor, Sony Services. Thank you so much for being a part of our team here on Morning Barbados. We're pleased to welcome you in. We're going to take a very short break, and when we come back, actually no, we'll have no commercials. This is how interesting, and this is how valid all of our discussions are. We don't even have time for a conversation. We continue now with the world of technology with Gabriel Abed, and we were talking a little about security with the Facebook face sniff,
yes,
as you call it.
Yes, and the developer has announced that he plans to broaden the horizon in terms of the kind of websites that you can actually sniff out. Twitter's one, YouTube's another, Facebook's definitely one. And with this application, you walk into a cafe, connect to their Wi-Fi, and anyone that's connected, if they're logged into any of these accounts, you basically just taken control over these accounts. So for any users out there that aren't securing their home networks, someone could come outside and before you know it, drive past your house, connect to your Wi-Fi. Before that you know it, they're on your Facebook. And Facebook right now has become a dominant communication tool for many people. Like myself, I use it for business and personal uses. I can't afford to lose my Facebook, and I'm sure most people can't, just because of the connections I've established on it. So a word to the wise, to the users, definitely activate your SSL. Do not be silly with security. Don't take it lightly.
Absolutely good advice, Gabriel. Now, I want you to tell us more about the recent Sony breach, because, you know, it seems like it just happened.
Yeah,
what's going on?
It seems like a broken record, but Sony seemed to have ticked off quite a few of the hacking activists out there on the world. It started with them arresting and going after lawsuits with certain programmers for breaking their PS3 system. And it started with that, and then they realized, hey, you know what, Sony, you aren't going to take the steps to protect your users, so we're going to go as far as possible to hack you. SonyPictures.com was the most recent hack. It was nothing to do with the PlayStation Network. With SonyPictures.com, over 1 million users were affected by a simple SQL injection. And SQL injection is one of the most bare-bone and basic types of hacks out there. And it proved to Sony how insecure their systems were, because over 1 million users were compromised. Their passwords, their usernames, their addresses, their phone numbers, their full names. So it just goes to show you that if the company isn't going to protect its users, and there's hacking groups out there that are willing to stand ground and show Sony that they can step up to the plate, correct, and teach them a lesson. And I think that's what they're doing.
What does that mean for Sony, though?
Well, you know what, they've reported billions of dollars of losses as of these last few hacks, and I'm sure this is just going to send them further down in the spiral. Further losses, lack of confidence of its users. I don't know what it's going to mean for them in the long run. It might be very well a door closing scenario. Who knows? Sony's a very strong company, but this is a very large hit to them.
Okay. Well, let's hope that it stays off the network. Let's hope that they can recover from this more recent hacking. Now, the other thing is, you've been telling us about the smartphone war during the last few weeks. Is it iPhone? Is it this new
Android? The
Android. What's happening with BlackBerry?
Well, the reason I posed that question is because just this week I was asked by a user, one of my friends actually, who is going to win this smartphone war? And I was recently given an article by a friend of mine, Adrian Charles, and the article read along the lines of, no one's going to win the smartphone war. The companies are just going to get more innovative. And that's great. Competition drives innovation. And you can expect to see different products coming up from these different flavors of operating systems and versions of phones. You know, you have the iOS, that's Apple, Android, which is Google, and BlackBerry, which is Research in Motion. And these guys are all neck and neck competitions with each other. So to say one user is going to win this, it's not the same template that you can use from the 1980s.
More better for us.
Correct. More better for us in the long run.
So what is this? Do you think? Well, let me ask it this way: which company do you think will listen most to what the people want?
All are going to listen to what the people want. That's, at the end of the day, they want to deliver a product that satisfies the majority, the global populace. I would say that in the lead in the next couple of months will be Android, just because of how fast their operating system's growing. They might very well take more than just, they already have the largest market share. They might go to, they might maintain #1 position, and they might grow further than that. But in the sense of the user becoming one tablet or one smartphone being #1, I don't think that's going to maintain very much longer. You're going to get different products, different variations, and things are going to keep growing and getting better.
What would you want as an IT expert, Gabriel? What would you want? What's like the app that, you know,
the operating system?
What would be the ultimate thing?
I would say collaboration of all three merged into one, but more than likely it's going to be Android that does that.
Okay.
Because they're an open source community, or soon to be open source community. They have a very large following, and they've seen the fastest growth.
Okay, here's what I need you to do. Repeat the security procedure for securing your Facebook page. We spoke about that earlier.
Okay, well, once again, you're activating secure socket layers, SSL, which will drive your browser to force HTTPS. You go into your account, top right corner, it's a drop down. You go into account settings, and I believe it's the 5th one down. I think it's browser settings. And once you click on it, you're going to see the dialog along the lines of HTTPS. You check off the box and you click save, and that's it. You've now activated SSL on your Facebook, and it should avoid scenarios like face sniff from pulling your data off.
Okay, well, Gabriel, here's what I'm going to ask you to do for us. If you could send us that information, so perhaps we could put it on our Facebook page.
Definitely.
Or maybe you can put it on, you know, share it. Feel free, but certainly we hope that has been helpful to you. Remember, the S, which is for the security, is critical in the browser. The HTTPS is what you need to say.
Hypertext Transfer Protocol Secure.
Yeah, I never remember all, but I know it's been explained so many times. But remember, guys, we want to say a big thank you to Gabriel Abed for sharing that, and he'll continue our conversation just after our news. But we want to give you this nice tip for the day, and the topic this week is handling objections by customers and handling them well. If the customer disapproves of your solution, ask a series of open and closed-ended questions. This will help you to understand why the customer is saying no, and will also allow you to serve them better. We like to make good on our promises, so we're continuing our discussion with Gabriel Abed in the world of technology, and that question keeps coming back. Gabriel explained that you need absolute security in with your browser. He explained the way to do it, and we're getting calls constantly, Gabriel, about getting that done properly. So let's go through it. Not let's. You go through it one more time.
All right, one more time. Okay, when you're in your Facebook, on the top right-hand corner, there's something called Account. You mouse over your account, click on it, and there's going to be a drop down. You go into your account settings.
Account settings.
Once you're in your account settings, you scroll down to secure browsing.
Secure browsing.
Once you've clicked on secure browsing, you're going to get some options. The first option, I believe, is turn on HTTPS. It's something along the lines of enable HTTPS or turn on HTTPS. I'm not sure the exact wording,
but
check that off. Once that's checked off, you click OK, refresh your page, and in the top, in your URL, you're going to notice it's no longer http://www.facebook.com. It's now HTTPS.
The S is the critical addition there. It's the same way you go to log off in that same area. Once you select account, you go down then.
Account settings.
And
secure browsing.
Secure browsing.
Correct.
Once you click that,
you will get
check it.
You will get a box that allows you to check off. Check off that box.
Check it off. And when you check your URL again, it will have an S added to the HTTP. So it will then say HTTPS. Real simple. Okay, good luck.
I was hoping that everybody got that down. I know a lot of people right now have coffee in one hand and a mouse in the next, trying to make sure that's all sorted.
3 times the charm, huh?
Yeah. That's right.
We have a lot more talent like you in Barbados.
Lots of talent.
And you want to talk about that?
Oh, yes. Okay, well, recently we've started taking on some interns at my company. We've just taken on, I think it's 3 really nice fellas. They're very talented, one in particular, extremely smart young fellas, and it's just, I do not know why more people haven't tapped into these resources as yet. Barbados has a lot of talented young people. And coming back from Canada and looking at Barbados on a whole again, I at first didn't think this existed until I actually started looking at it from a company perspective. What are my needs in my company? We need people to do X, Y, and Z. And there's these guys available out there who have no work experience available, no work experience at all, but they have theory-based experience. They know what needs to be done, and these guys are techies. So you put them behind any task to do with a computer, and chances are they will solve it. They're being very underutilized down here.
And the thing about it is, I think what it makes us do is change the way we think about Barbados as a service industry as well. We need to move away from thinking in terms of the hotel sector, the entertainment sector, and perhaps one of the opportunities is to outsource. That may also be an option if the skill set of some of the people you're talking about isn't being utilized.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see a need for outsourcing. We can very well outsource most of our work if we wanted to, but I don't. I like to employ locals because obviously you get to stimulate your economy by keeping locals employed. But aside from that, the talent's already here. Why would you want to outsource that? Why would you want to go elsewhere? We have a lot of talent here, and it's very creative talent. Bajans are the smartest people in the world. You know, and I don't see why the banking infrastructure or any large corporate sector wouldn't want to bring some of these guys in, let them start on a low-level job task, and rise them up in ranks from there. They need the experience, and companies have a need for basic IT services. Not everyone has time to update their website. Not everyone has time to create a document management system. There's little things that need to be done in a company that an intern who doesn't have the experience can easily do for you in a couple of days. It may not go as quick as you want, but the interns, they're not asking for a large salary, they're asking for stipends. Whatever have you a month, you give it to them and they'll do their work. They need the experience so that down the road, when they're ready to jump into the actual working field, they have this experience behind them. They have these resumes that are not just their educational background, it's now work experience. I've just experienced an influx of resumes being sent to our company, and I look through these resumes and I see no work experience, and it's disgraceful. It really is, because these young guys, they're smart.
And girls.
And girls, sorry. General statement here.
Yeah, I know.
These young people, they're smart, and they're not being given the chance down here.
Well, if you had the opportunity, because you've been on both sides of the fence, you've been a student,
yes,
and now you're an entrepreneur running your own business. So if you had the opportunity to whisper into the ears of either a large company or perhaps a small graphics company who is looking for someone who's a bit of a technological man Friday, who they can't afford to pay full time, or a large company who has been in the business long enough to lend a bit of experience, what would you say? How would you craft the way forward for intern and company?
Okay, for intern, apply everywhere. Don't stop applying.
Bash your head against that wall.
Correct. Even tell them, go as far as saying, I don't want a salary. Just give me the experience. Don't be greedy. A lot of interns, my first internship, I got paid $0.
So did I.
Yeah, for 9 months. And you know what the guy told me? He looked at me and said, my man, I'm telling you this right now. You should be paying me. I'm giving you training. And he was right. you know, looking back on it, I learned a lot from my first job. And then I went forward and I got a very large job after that, still being an intern, but the salary went through the roof. And it's because of that experience I initially had. I was able to play around with things because, you know, a lot of these employers, they're not going to give you high-level jobs. They're going to give you run-around things to do. But those run-around things to do build experience.
Yeah. And you get a chance, a foot in the door.
Correct. You get a foot in the door, and sometimes those companies want to keep you. Right now, I'm telling you, I don't want to lose any of my interns. Yeah. I've actually offered one of them that I would pay for his schooling, just because of how talented he is.
Nice,
you know, and a lot of these companies should really be doing that for these guys or girls.
The question is coming in, and we have like very little time left, but one of the questions coming in is, if we have all this talent, then why aren't we writing programs? But I know that we've got people over there from this land writing programs, working with some of the big people.
Okay, writing a program is not as simple as just sitting down there and writing the program. A program has, a well-structured program has a lot of levels to it. A lot of time is required and a lot of funding in some cases, because you need hardware, you need some software licenses, you know, some basic libraries that help you get started. So to jump into it, it might take a couple of years for one person to develop it. So if you can put a team of people together, yeah, you can get these programs written here on our doorsteps. As a matter of fact, we've written a program recently from one of our interns. I'm not going to announce it just yet because we're not ready for the market, but in a couple of weeks we're going to be launching this retail product that's going to help companies get accountability. That's just the tip of the iceberg. We'll get further down into it. But one of our interns is the core developer on this. He comes, you know, just last night, Sunday, he calls me and says, "Hey Doc," and that's what he calls me, "Can you open the office? I want to go down there and work on this application."
Look at that.
No problem.
You're the tech doctor, man.
This is why we want you to keep coming back, because you're not going to get away with not telling us all the details of that development. We want to be the ones to hear it first, because we're your friends here on MorninBds.
I would definitely like to say it here first.
Wonderful, wonderful. Gabriel Abed is our software specialist. This has been the world of technology. We're going to take a break, but when we come back, we discuss the hug, as they call it, on the back page of The Nation. Peter on politics will be back to chat with us, and of course the psychologist will be here to talk about how to build self-esteem out of the chain of abuse. We'll be right back on MorninBds.